Probably Burn Dairy. Because that was a special use permit for a gas station. I know they did a seeker for that. So
did they do a seeker for the other, for the Crescent Way?
I don't know if we, but planning board was lead agency on that. They were lead agency. We just came in because of certain variances they were looking for.
How about the mill spot? We've done one since then.
Maybe
we've done in the last few years.
Yeah,
these might have been.
There's a special use permit for the recycling center, but it didn't have a seeker aspect.
I thought the mill spot one.
So from Tom, from your understanding, we have multiple issues within this that are going to need other agencies for complete review. Is that going to be drainage, building of the roads, the sanitary pipes? All those are going to have reviews by like DEC and such in the planning phase.
Like Tompkins County Health Department will look at sewer.
Yeah.
And maybe they just want to, take up the different unit drawings and a brief sketch of it and say, okay, that's fine.
May I?
Go for it.
Thanks. So Tim, what we'll do is we'll if the zoning board chooses to take lead on this, we'll take the package of information from the applicant. I will send those out to all of the proposed involved agencies, as Colin just described, going through that list. And then that gives them an opportunity to look at the preliminary seeker, to look at the complete project that you're looking at before you. And then they send in their comments to the project. So that's kind of how it works. I know it's been a while since you guys have done anything this involved. So I just thought it would be helpful to tell you what it's going to look like.
So Tammy, would that be before we would make a requirement for a more thorough seeker, or is this part of the seeker?
It would be part of the seeker.
Okay.
And
so
if I could
work on a seeker, and we would begin to distribute information to interested agencies.
Yes, if I could speak on that for just a moment. So if you're going to be doing coordinated review, we recommend that a full EAF Part 1 be provided instead of the short EAF Part 1. And at least from MRB's viewpoint, we still believe there's a few additional items that would be good to include as part of seeker, such as a preliminary engineer's report, so that there can be at least some information to back up the sizing of sanitary sewer and the water main. Even if that's still in a preliminary stage, still whatever we can provide would definitely be helpful for other agencies. And there are a few other items that we had identified as part of a very cursory application review as part of these site plans. Content such as, a lighting plan, which I understand which is being worked on right now, additional details on the plans.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so,
I have a question for you.
Sure.
Yeah, one question. I would like, do all of these items, these 12 items have to be part of the special use permit? Because some of them seem like they're just things you could just do. I mean, they were just like removing trees or putting a playground in. I'm just asking a question. I know they're all part of the project, but did they have to be part of the special use permit, which then makes them part of this whole seeker process? You understand my question?
Yeah, I do. I'm just thinking through the question for a moment here.
Yeah.
The best way to explain it.
Yeah.
So certainly not all of the items on there would be 100% pertaining to the special use permit. However, they are pertinent to seeker, as there are other agencies involved who may be making a determination or some sort of approval regarding them. For example, the village planning board. Now, when you're conducting a seeker review, the reason for the lead agency coordination is that you do not want, when you're doing the environmental review of a project, only one agency is really making that determination, and they're essentially making that determination for all agencies involved in the process,
Okay.
as opposed to each agency having to go through seeker review, even though it's the same project and same action.
Right. They can make comments, they make recommendations, but the lead agency makes the determination.
That's correct. And they can also request to be lead agency. However, most of the time, we do not see that happen.
Right.
Usually, the board initiating it does end up being the lead agency.
So as far as an action tonight, are we looking for an action where we would make a motion to become the lead agent in this process, as opposed to we are not at a point where we are issuing a special use permit that's following all the determinations?
So the special use permit would need to be continued to a later meeting as seeker has not been completed.
Right.
Now, you could start the process of being lead agency. However, as I mentioned earlier, we as MRB have identified a number of items that we believe should be provided before seeker lead agency occurs. And as such, we would recommend that the application in its entirety be continued to the next meeting, at which point the ZBA could declare their intent to be lead agency and start the seeker coordination process. At least that's how we see it.
So this meeting is a preliminary introduction to where we are in the plan, and that we need additional materials in order to make the next determination, which would be lead agency for review of seeker toward the goal of a special use permit that would allow the project to go forward.
Yes, that'd be our recommendation.
Okay.
Yeah, if I can just add a little bit to that. As of now, there's no expansion proposed of the existing facility. It's maintaining the 138 lots. I think at one point there was some discussion about adding more. So at this point, it's really just maintaining and improving what's there.
Mm-hmm.
Under the type 2 actions, it specifically calls out, replacement, rehab, and reconstruction, repaving existing highways without any additional travel lanes. But that can be, discussed further as we get into it. The sewer system, we're replacing with the same size, 8-inch PVC, which if anything would probably increase capacities on the most part of it. So there's no large additional loading on the existing facilities that are there. So it's just improving what we have. Those reports for sure can be provided. And, if possible, we would like to start the seeker process now where, the coordinated review would be sent out and then additional material can be provided as we get into it further. That would be ideal if we can at least keep things moving from the coordinated review perspective.
So your argument is because it's not an expansion, but a replacement in total, it's not as extensive for a type 1, it's a type 2 seeker approach.
Correct. Yeah, that's our.
Though the rebuilding of the entire road seems a little more extensive than we're repaving.
Yeah, and it's up to interpretation for sure. Yeah.
So parts of the project might need a little bit more documentation of what you're going to do than like we said, a playground that is maybe a little, unless it's some huge thing, doesn't have a lot of environmental concerns. And there'd be less environmental concerns if, well, there's always the possibility that what you have in place you determine is not sufficient for what you really have there by new code, and you are changing it. And so you need documented specs that says what we have in place was sufficient when it was built, but new code says it's not sufficient. So we have to document that we need something. I'm assuming that's what everybody's looking at, is when you replace something, you got to bring it up to code. Hopefully it was, and you're simply replacing 8 with 8-inch. But if it's wasn't up to code in today's standard, now it has to be raised to that.
Right, yeah, and, health department, DEC, there'll be engineers report and, permits required for that approval on their end too, so, yeah.
Yeah, so to follow that up, certainly there are some components of the project that would fit under the type 2 action list. However, there are some components that certainly would not, in my opinion, such as the new stormwater management facilities, the playground, both positive things as they are, that would lend itself to being at least an unlisted action.
Yes, new stormwater is new stormwater. You're not like just regrading and getting the sludge out of an old one. You're putting in a whole new system to handle the environmental runoff.
Yes, and to further speak on what the environmental review actually is doing, especially at a full environmental assessment form level, you are looking at things such as the effect on drainage, the effect on noise pollution, on lighting. It's more than just whether or not it meets code. It could also be community character, things of that nature.
Yeah, that could be an option too, I think, is, declare a lead agency and then, provide a full EAF and providing additional documents too. That's another option. And then you have a 30-day waiting time, I believe, with the other agencies on the coordinated review in order to be declared lead agency. But, that's, we're definitely open to providing a full EAF if that's their direction the board would like.
Is that what you were asking for, the full EAF?
Along with a little additional detailing on the plans, where available, where applicable. I don't quite remember what was on the list.
I have a copy of what.
Right, so I know some of the items that we asked for in our cursory review were provided. But certainly, at least some of it has been addressed. Yes, it mostly is just the recommendation to provide a preliminary engineering report and a full environmental assessment form. And yes, the coordination period is 30 days. And so that'd be another thing to discuss this meeting is when would that start, when would it end, and figuring out what meetings would be.
So the 30 days starts when the materials are in our hands.
When they are in the hands of the lead agency.
When they're in hand.
Of the other agencies.
The other agencies. When the materials can get into our hands and be distributed to the other agencies, that would begin the 30 days that they have to review.
Yes.
And if they don't answer in the 30 days, they don't get to answer.
Yes.
They're given 30 days. And so we're looking at, so really it's in the hands of the applicant to get the materials in if they want the process to go more quickly. And then when we could then convene another meeting following the response time of the 30 days.
Yeah, so that would be one thing to consider to help move things along would be adjusting meeting dates as necessary to more closely follow the 30 days necessary.
We have a standard meeting date here, but the standard meeting date is we meet on Mondays whenever we need to try and get coordinated a Monday meeting. I mean, we could meet even on another day of the week. We just haven't. It's set as a certain time, but we don't have an agenda always coming up at those times. So, I mean, if we have a 30-day window that we know that paperwork has gone out, we can then coordinate the first opportunity to have a meeting following those 30 days in order to begin our review process on our end. I don't see that that would be a problem. It looks like that would be in January. You won't be with us anymore, Scott.
Probably with us, but not at the meeting.
Yeah, he'll still live in the village and have care, but it looks like that's where we're going to be anyway. it's going to be at least several days or a week before you would have materials that we could distribute. And then 30 days is going to put us into the first of the year, which probably works for everybody, as opposed to trying to do something, another meeting here in December.
So how fast do you believe you can get some of the materials?
Yeah, probably a week or two turnaround in order to get a full EAF put together, engineer's report. And there's some other lighting plan, and it's kind of follow up with a list, preliminary SWIP we could probably pull together to start to outline those details. And
I would think if we could be shooting for a date like January 10th, for, hopefully trying to finish the 30-day review period somewhere around January 10th. If we know the date they've gone out, we know the date they have to be back by, so we can schedule a meeting with appropriate notice, and we can gather the board together to try and make that happen. But that week of January 10th, the second week of January, then.
Hey, Tim.
Yes.
Just please keep in mind that we have posting requirements too. So that January 10th is kind of pushing it.
Well, we have what, 2 week posting requirements, right?
Yes.
My point is, if we know the date we have sent all the materials to the other agencies, then we know when the 30 days ends. So we have 30 days to figure out when to get posted and when to schedule a meeting.
For
And work around
January.
the fact that maybe the office is closed some of those days because it's the holidays, but.
No, I'm not worried about that. I always want to make sure I meet my my posting requirements.
Yes.
And the other question I had was for Colin. Hi, Colin. Question. So is MRB taking over the seeker, or is that something that you're going to need me to do? I'm just trying to plan ahead. Either way is fine.
We can certainly do the coordination efforts if the village would like that.
Tim, I'll let that be your call. I'm happy to do it. Certainly in my purview, but totally your call, Tim.
Okay. I think we would have you run point on that. I think we should have someone who's working on the end of coordinating that. So you would coordinate getting the materials to the other interested agencies.
Yeah, so we typically prepare a cover letter that explains why the agencies are receiving this package of materials, and we typically send these out electronically as well to save on paper and to improve the response times. And so usually we include
An animal.
Yes.
Is that Grace Tanning?
Yeah, so typically we include the site plans, the engineer's report, SWIP if one has been prepared yet, any application materials that we can, and we send those out, with a download link so that the agencies can view as much information as possible. And they'll also include a response form that they can send back saying, yes, we want to be considered for the lead agency, or no, we have no objections to the Village of Trumansburg, the ZBA being lead agency for the project, or other, and there is room for them to write comments or other notes as well.
Okay. Are we comfortable with letting MRB take the lead on that and then coordinating with Tom and myself when the materials have come in, so we have a heads up? I want to have a heads up as the chairman of the CBA when the materials have come in and you've sent them out. I want to know when that date starts, where we're on that, and they've provided the materials you're looking for. So then I can begin to coordinate with Tom and Tammy and the rest of the board for the 30-day review period and getting all of that going.
Right. Now, typically, at least in the ways that we've seen at MRB, the board, declaring their intent to be lead agency, they would typically wait until they have, whatever materials they want to send out in hand so that they can at least take a look at them and make sure that they believe everything has been provided as inclusive. I also understand that we don't want to necessarily push the application forward if it doesn't, or, continue it further. If it doesn't need to be continued further, it could be taken we can start this lead agency process right now. However, I'm not sure if we can yet or not.
So you're saying there needs to be an additional meeting before materials can be sent out by CBA?
There may be. If you give me 1 or 2 minutes, I can coordinate with my office and see if I can get an answer on that right now.
Okay, yes. Yeah. Because that would put a delay of a couple of weeks. Because we need a couple of weeks to get another meeting on the books and notice. It's like, what, 10-day notice or something?
Yeah, this is,
10 business days, which is basically 2 weeks.
and that would certainly underline Tim's concern.
Right.
And I have one more question for Colin, Tim.
Colin just stepped out, Tammy. He'll be right back. He's giving some information about the.
And just one thing to note, we did meet with Town of Covert, and there's no zoning in the town there, and they didn't ask for any kind of permits for replacement or upgrades. So it's, but we'll still include them on the coordinated review for sure. They will require a demolition permit for the removal of the barn and some of the existing facilities there, but.
That beautiful barn.
Correct, yeah.
So this is almost an aside thing, but it appears this is going to not all happen at this particular meeting. Is there any assurance that your funders might need to know this is in process moving ahead, or is that something they expect and no issue?
Well, they are going to need to be included as one of the involved agencies, but they will need the special use permit in order to provide the financing. That's one of the documents we have to hand to them. So the longer it takes, the longer it's going to take us to get the financing.
But it's not like if they don't have somewhere that it's in process and such, they'll start looking elsewhere.
No.
Are you trying to get all this done next summer, or?
We would like to start in the spring, ideally. Yeah.
Well, it won't be as wet as this summer. Digging up roads must be a daunting task.
Yeah,
I
and
went into a cornfield the other day and harvested some corn. The outside edges were great. Got into the middle and sunk 4 feet. He says, "I'm done for the day. Leave the tractor there. We'll get it out tomorrow." He went home. It's wet. It gets cold. It doesn't freeze. It feels like it freezes. Says it's been a
Well,
nightmare.
the top inches are.
Says the harvest has been just horrible this year to harvest anything.
I saw up on 96, we were driving by there the other day, and I saw a whole group of farmers standing they were all muddy, their tractor stuck. It was like 35 degrees.
That's probably the one I'm talking about. Yeah, on 96.
They look miserable.
Yes, yeah, I was talking to Richard yesterday. I said, "How's the harvest going?" He said, "I don't want to talk about it." I did get to go home early. So your understanding, actually, may not be doing any kind of action tonight.
Correct.
It's
And
just
I
to
hear-
coordinate when we would get information that we can make the next action.
My understanding is that if there isn't, it is better logistically to leave the meeting open, not close the meeting. But
I know that really matters.
Looks like he has answers.
We're waiting for the golden bullet. Whatever. Golden
Yeah, so yes, to give an answer on that. So from my understanding, was the board planning on meeting at all in December originally? Or was the understanding really that you were going to be moving forward with a special use permit such you have
we would
scheduled?
schedule a meeting if we can get the people together, certainly.
So certainly if TG Miller provides, the information in 1 to 2 weeks, sure, we could move forward with the assumption that everything will be provided that is needed in order to have a complete application to start the seeker coordination process. However, we would still recommend that instead we meet in December so that the board has the ability to review the materials and also gives time for MRB and also village staff to review the materials, make sure that there are no outstanding issues. If it doesn't really add too much to the time frame, then why not meet in December with all the application materials present and then declare intent to be lead agency at that meeting?
Tammy, are you there?
I am. So if we're looking at December, in Mondays, it would be the 20th or the 27th. The 13th happens to be the Board of Trustee meeting, so that one's not good. And I assume that nobody would be ready next week. So the 20th or the 27th is it. Unless you want another day of the week, which is doable, completely up to you.
You can do that? That a day of the week?
Yeah, I
have any issue with that?
could do another day. I could do a Tuesday.
I don't think it'd really
or
add much to your
Thursday.
time frame, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I prefer to avoid the week between Christmas and New Year's. Before then would be good.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
So do you want to do Monday, the 20th?
No, you're saying let's stay away from that week.
No, the week between Christmas and New Year's. Avoid the 27th,
I mean, you said the 13th was a trustee meeting, right?
Correct.
Well, what about the 14th? Tuesday the
Wide
14th.
open.
Tuesday the 14th is wide open. That provides 2 weeks for all the materials to come in.
That does, but that also doesn't provide a lot of time for staff to review it if
Okay.
necessary.
So you need more time than that. So the 20th works better when you're saying it gives you an additional.
Yeah, it gives us a week to review the materials and make sure that there's no issue. So like a December 14th deadline or December 13th deadline for submission of new materials, that gives staff a week to review it and make sure it is as we believe it complete, and gives the ZBA members some time to review it as well before declaring intent to be lead agency. And that only adds about a week beyond what.
And that would give us all of this week to make sure we could get it coordinated for a quorum. And the necessary 2 weeks notice, basically. That would give us this week to do that. That's probably a better plan. Does 20th work for you, Mike?
The 20th works, 21st doesn't.
No, 20th. We're just looking for Monday the 20th.
20th, that's fine with me.
Monday, so it looks like we have a quorum who can at least make Monday the 20th.
6 p.m. guys.
What's that?
6 or 7.
6 o'clock. Monday the 20th, 6 p.m. with and we'll suggest that if you guys can get your materials in by 13th, Monday the 13th, then they'll have a week, 5 business days to review. And then we meet on the 20th to determine the sufficiency of the application and determination of lead agent and sending materials out to.
Yeah, you'd be declaring your intent to be lead agency at that meeting, and then MRB would prepare the lead agency packages and send them out as soon as possible. We can figure out the timeline closer to that meeting and solidify a timeline at that meeting.
Yep, for a January return.
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, Colin. In regard to the resolutions, is that something that is going to be part of the services with MRB, or do we need to involve Attorney Crow at this point?
So in my coordination with Tom, it's my understanding that MRB can provide them, and
Okay.
that we also have the ability to speak with Guy and get Guy's services if needed.
Okay.
For his assistance in preparing resolutions as needed.
Okay, great. Thanks. I just need to know who's doing what.
Okay.
Thank you.
So Tammy, what we will do this week, when I say we, I mean you,
Yes, sir.
is we'll just try and coordinate with the other members of the board of letting them know the schedule for a Monday, December 20th, 6 p.m. ZBA meeting.
All right. I'm going to send out an email right now.
Okay, very good. Is there anything else we need to discuss or coordinate tonight?
Make a motion that we.
Make a motion that we close?
Yeah.
Go ahead, if you want to.
Just a clarification on, I guess, other permits or review. Is there a site plan piece of this component approval that's needed? Or just through ZBA? I know we've got dedications, we'll have a plat for roads, road right of ways. And I was under the impression that can all be, handled under the ZBA.
Well, site plan will get certainly, the planning board will review. The question is, are they going to ask for a full site plan review? Or how would that fall in?
So I believe some of that is still kind of being determined by staff at the moment. Regardless, no site plan action, if so required, could occur until after the special use permit has been issued, is my understanding.
We have to do our part first, and that will cover seeker and everything else. And then a site plan would fall in under that, more specific to maybe other issues that are environmentally required.
And the fee for site plan review has not been updated in ages, and it's still $50. So you can start collecting it. You should be able to have it.
Okay. Any other questions?
Well, just a point of procedure. I believe a public hearing was scheduled for tonight, so I believe formally you may have to open the public hearing and then continue it.
I'm going to do that.
Okay.
Thank you, Colin.
I'm going to do that. I had it on my list here. Okay, can I have a motion to open public comment?
I'll make a motion, open a public comment.
Scott makes it a motion. Can I have a second? Mike?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Aye. Can I have a motion to close public comment?
I'll make it a motion.
Mike makes it a motion.
Second it.
Scott seconds it. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Mike, Scott makes it a motion. Noah, can you second it? I mean, Mike, whatever. I'm just, Mike's going to second it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We will see everyone again on Monday, the 20th.
Bye, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tammy.
Thank you. Thanks,
I'm
guys.
headed to IC.